Hey guys, I have to run some errands real fast, so I figured this is the perfect opportunity to film this little portion of this buzzbait video. Very first thing you want to do with any buzzbait is crimp that little rivet right there. Second thing you want to do is grab a file, little metal file, pick them up at Home Depot or any other hardware store, and scuff up the bottom of the blade where it rubs up against the crimp, and then scuff up the top of the crimp. You want bare metal on metal contact that's not smooth. And then the next step is the one why I'm in the vehicle right now. And like I said, I figured since I have to go run some errands, I'll do this right now. And then I'll come back and I'll explain everything in the video. But for the time being, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right down there, along with the bell notification button, so you get notified every single time I put out another video. So let's do this portion real quick, and then I'll explain it in the video. All right guys, so as you're using a buzzbait, you know this little propeller is spinning maybe hundreds of times. I guess it depends on how far you cast it. But if you hold this out the window of your vehicle or zip tie it to your antenna, you can put on a bunch of spin on this thing, and you know, it's equal to thousands of casts. It'll help develop that squeaky sound, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I have to run a couple errands, so it's time for me to squeak this buzzbait. Hey, what's up guys? John from Mongo Fishing. Today I want to talk to you guys about one of my absolute favorite techniques in the world, especially for right now, this time of year, and that is buzzbait fishing. Before we really get into this, I'm going to discuss kind of like what I'm going to go through. We go through the buzzbaits that I do like, along with some buzzbaits that I don't like, and the reason why I don't like them. I'm not going to name any companies for the stuff I don't like. I will definitely name the companies of the stuff that I do like. I'll put them down in the description below. Some of them are sponsor companies, some of them are not. But all of them are companies whose products I truly believe in, and that's why I'm going to share them with you. The ones that I don't like, you know, I won't mention those companies by name. If you've thrown the products, you'll recognize them. If you haven't, well, don't worry about it. You're not missing out. But let's get into it. We're going to start with the ones that I don't like, and then we'll get into the ones that I do like, and then some of the pros and cons with those. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect buzzbait. Even the companies whose products, you know, the companies support me and I use their products quite a bit, there's still no such thing as a perfect buzzbait, in my opinion. So there's pros and cons with those also, and I'll make sure you guys are aware of what I believe the pros and cons are with each one of these products. But let's get into the ones that I don't like, because I want to be able to show you why I don't like them, so that it makes sense when I get into the products that I do like. We'll start with this little guy right here. Company is irrelevant. But the reason why this is not a good buzzbait, in my opinion, there's several things going on here that just make it bad. First off, let's look at this hook gap right here between where the blade ends and the hook is, right? I can barely get my finger in here, an index finger, which is not wide. There's no gap there, right? A fish eats this, he's gonna get a mouthful of blade and not much for hook. When you go to swing the hook, or swing the rod to set the hook, you run the risk of blowing his mouth open and just not getting a hook in this fish. I like the concept with the little underspin. I think that's cool, but man, they really missed the mark by making this thing so small and so compact. Really, AC? It's 60 degrees. Why is that turning on? Anyway, they missed the mark by this thing with it being so small and so compact and having the hook this incredibly close to the blade. So that's one thing I don't like. I don't like the head shape. There's nothing about this that's going to want to make it get up and stay on the surface like a buzzbait should. You know, that's very like fish shaped. There's nothing flat on the bottom. So that's that. And then I had to crimp the crimp. You know, that's pretty common with most buzzbaits, so unfortunately. But I think that if a company is putting out the product, they should probably take the couple extra minutes to do a little bit of the work for you. You know, that part's fixable, but the rest of this is just not fixable. So that's why I don't like this buzzbait. Another one I don't like is made by another pretty big company, and this is a Clacker Style. Now, I've caught fish with this. Let's not get it twisted. These do catch fish. That one just has a poor hookup ratio, and this one does catch fish also. I just think that it can be a lot better than it is. Now, it's the first of the Clacker Style that I'm going to go through. Same sort of problem with the head, with it being just like a fish-shaped head with nothing to really get up and run. Like I said, it's a Clacker. It's not very loud. It's aluminum on aluminum. But when you get here, I have not messed with this at all. So it's not crimped, right? You see the rivet is free sliding. Then there's a ball. Okay, so the reason why you want to crimp this is you want this thing to stay put and not move in any way, shape, or form. And then you want this blade to build up friction on that little crimp, on that rivet. And that's never going to happen if you have that ball in right there. So I think in order to make this better, you have to bend this out, pull the crimp off, pull the ball off, pull the blade off, then put the ball on so the ball's on top, then the blade, then the rivet, and then crimp it in place. And then you'll at least have a better running buzzbait, one that you can actually make squeak. This one will never, ever, ever squeak with the design that it currently has. So that's that. But it has a really good hook gap here. Like I was talking about with the other one. I mean, this is good. You know, the fish can get this. Like I said, I've caught fish with these before. I have a couple of these. I threw these before I learned about better buzzbaits. So not really knocking it per se, it's just it's no longer one that I throw very often, that's for sure. All right, buzzbaits that I do like and the reason why I like them. Okay, so this first one, this is just the Brisallo custom lures, just regular buzzbait. They have one that's a knocker style, that's like a loud clacker that I'll get into, and then there's another one from a different company with a loud clacker that I'll get into. But for a basic buzzbait, this is probably my favorite right here. This is a little 1/4 ounce dude. I mean, they make 3/8 and 1/2 ounce also, but this little 1/4 ounce dude, if we start with the head, look at that head shape, right? It looks very similar to a boat hull. This is gonna wanna hit the water. When you start reeling, it's gonna wanna get up on plane and get on the surface like a buzzbait needs to be. I mean, buzzbaits are nothing more than solid chunks of steel and lead and maybe aluminum on there. There's nothing about a buzzbait that wants to float. So having a head shape that's going to help it get up certainly helps. Also, when you buy these things from Brisallo, they come pre-crimped, so that's good. It's one less step that I have to worry about. You saw at the beginning of the video what I showed you got to do with every buzzbait. So I don't really need to get into that. I guess I can run through it again real fast in case for some reason you missed it. But crimp the front, and then hit the base of the blade with a file, and then hit the top of the rivet with a file, so that you get nice friction. And this thing will start developing a squeak. You saw how I held it out the window and drove down the road. You're putting on thousands of rotations, and this thing going from a quiet buzzbait starts developing a little bit of squeak to it. Anyway, that's that. That's what you want to do to develop a nice squeaking sound on your buzzbait. Okay, Clacker Style. The two clackers that I absolutely love. The Brisallo Custom Lures Bushwhacker and the Black's Custom Lures Toad Toter. These are the two clackers that I absolutely love. Instead of having an aluminum clacker like that one did back there that I didn't like, this has a little brass thing, and this has a brass ball for the blade to smack off of. And you can adjust the tightness and how loud it is. If you need it, louder, push it in a little further. If you don't want a clacking, then just bend it out a little bit. This one is significantly louder than the blacks, but that's not always a good thing. There are times where I can't get bit on one and I can get bit on the other. In peak buzzbait season, man, it's nothing for me to have 3 buzzbaits tied on, sometimes 4. All about trying to find out what the fish want. So yeah, it's pretty common to see both of these on the front deck of my boat during peak buzzbait season when I'm trying to find out, do the fish want super loud, kind of loud, or not loud at all. Or a finesse buzzbait that I'll get into in a little bit. Pros and cons with this. Okay, so it's super, super loud. Okay, that's a pro and con. And here's something that I can't prove with my brain, but maybe one of you guys can. Maybe one of you guys has a big 50-pound NASA brain or something like that and can help me with this. Is if you look at your line of pull here, you have this dip. Okay, so on most other buzzbaits, it's a straight line of pull all the way through to the hook. Pretty straight line of pull all the way through the hook. This has a significant dip. I honestly believe we're losing some power on a hook set with this. If you're using fluoro, you're just not getting a solid hook set, and you're losing some of your force right here. Again, I could be wrong. I can't prove that. I don't have a 50-pound brain, but to me it makes sense. Just with the way, you know, energy works, I think you're losing some of your hook set force right there, because that's a flex point where it can flex a little bit. So keep that in mind. If you're throwing this, definitely throw it on braid. And I'm guilty of it myself. I'll throw it on fluoro occasionally, and I'll normally kick myself in the butt when I lose a fish. So another pro and con with this: the fish do not eat this the way they eat most buzzbaits. This thing sits, what, 3/4 of an inch below the water, an inch below the water. They don't blow up on this the same way they blow up on most other buzzbaits. You'll have the violent blow up occasionally, but you'll also have a fish that just sucks it under. And so if you're not paying attention, you know, you're reeling it back and it's clack, 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 and then you just feel some tension because he didn't blow it up. You didn't hear the bite, he just slurped it underneath. So you kind of got to pay attention with this. This is my favorite buzzbait to throw when it's like just pissing down rain, and you know, a smaller, less obnoxious buzzbait may get drowned out. I love to throw this in the rain, but again, you got to pay attention. That drop, they don't eat this the same way they eat other buzzbaits. That's a pro and a con. I struggled so much with this thing. It was like there was a definite learning curve trying to catch fish with this when I first started throwing it. So keep that in mind. If you're, you know, new to buzzbaits, it may frustrate you. Or maybe you'll pick it up right off the bat because you don't have bad habits already established. So it's killer buzzbait. Like I said, there is a slight learning curve with this because of that drop right there. On to the blacks. Pros and cons with this. This screw lock right here, I absolutely love it and hate it at the same time. Putting soft plastics on this is killer. They will stay on forever, right? You're not going to have soft plastics pull off of this. The downside is if you get into some small bass or bluegill or something like that and you're throwing this toad toter with a toad and they rip a leg off. So it takes more time putting a trailer on the blacks than it does any other buzzbait, in my opinion. That's good and bad. Like I said, you won't go through nearly as many plastics. They're not going to pull off. They're not going to start sagging and tear out and stuff like that. But if you start getting tail grabbers, then you're going to waste a lot of time taking the baits back off. You can't just grab them and pull them and then put a new one back on. So that's a pro and con. Like I said, I love this one. This was one of my first favorite Clacker buzzbaits out there. Jamie makes multiple sizes. He's not a sponsor of mine. He makes multiple sizes, 3/8, ½ ounce. He had a quarter for a very short period of time. He doesn't make it anymore. But yeah, this, like I said, this is a really good buzzbait. It's the Toad Toter. Has a really strong reputation here in Arkansas. Both of those have really strong reputations here in Arkansas. I mean, they just flat out catch fish. So anyway, that's that. Can use this on fluoro or braid. Jamie recommends braid. And I do too, but I do catch myself throwing it on fluoro. My other favorite buzzbait I like to throw is like the anti-buzzbait, and that is the Motivated Fishing Revelation Buzz. This little dude right here, this 1/8 ounce guy right here, it's not loud. It is not loud at all. It's a finesse buzzbait. I know that might sound like an oxymoron to some of you, and this thing flat out gets crushed. Fish love this. Is like one of my favorite buzzbaits to throw for smallmouth for sure. They absolutely love this. This time of year, my favorite trailer is a Castaic Jerky J Swim, 3.5 inch Jerky J Swim on this thing in a natural color. I mean, they just flat out choke it. Killer little buzzbait. This time of year, it's almost always going to have a swim bait. I think this Jerky J Swim works better than Kitex. You know, it's just a personal preference thing. Those will be linked down in the description below also, with a little 20% off link to them. That is a sponsor product, but I'm not doing it as a, like, I'm not telling you guys about it to make a sale. Like, I'm telling you about it because I believe in it. If I'm not throwing that little buzzbait with that Jerky J Swim, then I'm using the bait that it's kind of named after. Like, that's the Revelation Buzz, and this is the Motivated Fishing Revelation Craw. When you buy one of those, it comes with one of these on it. So this is probably the primary bait that I use on there, and on these others. I mean, like, I absolutely love throwing this little trailer. It's probably my #1 trailer, except for this time of year. I like to put that one. I like to do that. But nice, you know, flat bottom to it. It skips really well. It's got some kick to it. You may have to pull off the little front pincher things, front flappers like that, make it a little more compact. Play around with it. What I don't like, you know, this is about the same size as like a Strike King Rage Menace Magnum, but the Magnum is really heavy for its size and round, and it doesn't skip very well, and it sinks like a stone. It's full of salt. This thing's not. Garlic scented, and like I said, flat on the bottom. Skips really well. If you need to get up underneath the dock, this is killer. Like I said, I'll throw this on pretty much any of these buzzbaits, except for this time of year when I like to throw that Motivated Fishing with a Jerky J Swim. Other trailer is a toad. I mean, the toad toter, this is kind of what it's designed for, right? Is throwing with a Zoom horny toad, or big bite baits version. I forgot what that's called, but you know, a toad. These things are killer. Put a little bit of kick and flat out crush fish. Natural colors for the Castaic Jerky J Swims, and then either white or black on these, and then white, black, or tree frog on the toads. Guys, the #1 reason why you want to use a trailer is because nothing about a buzzbait feels like food except for a trailer. If you're throwing a buzzbait with just the skirt, a fish will bite it, but he probably won't hold on to it very long. You have one that has a trailer on the back, he's going to bite it, it's going to feel like food, he's going to hold on to it a little longer, allowing you to get a better hook set. So that is actually the #1 reason why I always run trailers. Okay, and so for the regular size buzzbaits, I throw that typically on the same thing that I throw my swim jigs on. You know, the same sort of swim jig rod. This is a Denali Covert worm and jig rod, 7.2 medium heavy. I got like 50-pound 50-pound braid on here, or use heavy fluoro, but braid is what you're going to want to do. Fluoro is what I do occasionally, just because I really like fluoro. You know, that's that. I know fluoro and buzzbaits don't, or sorry, fluoro and topwater don't mix because fluoro, you know, sinks and whatever. But, you know, surprise, buzzbaits sink also. So that's irrelevant. I throw this little dude on fluoro because it's a lightweight and I can cast it up underneath stuff really far, you know, skip it really well, get way back underneath the dock. And the fluoro has a little bit of abrasion resistance. You can control, like, guiding it with your rod tip on which way your buzzbait's going to go. Make sure it bounces off of stuff, and you know, kind of like a square bill will, because you know that's when you get bites, is when it deflects off of cover. So you know, make sure you're using your rod to help guide your buzzbait on where you want it to go. Where to use them? Docks, seawalls, submerged vegetation, emerged vegetation, riprap, laydowns, Definitely bump them over wood if you can. I mean, pretty much anywhere. It's a bank beating technique. I think that's it, guys. Again, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button right down there along with the bell notification button. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment below if you guys have any questions. You know, what's your favorite buzzbait to throw? Let me know, man. Speak up. Share this video with your friends. I'm trying to grow this page, trying to grow my reach. So, you know, show your fishing buddies. Thank you guys very much for watching. As always, get out on the water, be safe, and go stick some lips.